watching the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. Day one of the ACC tournament. One game in the books, and now we see a lot of red filing into this building. NC State getting ready to take on Virginia Tech.
Absolutely, and of course, NC State has a history of making it interesting in the tournament, and they have a very talented team that's looking forward to taking on the challenge of having to stop the nation's leading scorer, Eric Green. However, we've seen what the ACC Rookie of the Year can do already in the first game. We'll see what the Player of the Year can do in the second game.
And yet, hey, Corey, February 16th, how about an overtime game, a win there by NC State? Toby Mack opened our show, and we're glad to have this artist as a part of our tournament coverage this week.
I just put out a new CD 4 months ago called Eye on It, and I'm sharing that music with everybody. I've always sort of been into this big old pot of musical gumbo. My music put it all together and you got Toby Mack music. I mean, tonight here we are, right where the ACC tournament's gonna be played, Greensboro Coliseum. I'm gonna walk out on that stage tonight, 21,000 people here. I mean, to me, it's a concert where it's you know, the crowd reacting to me reacting to the crowd. It's not that different than a basketball game. When I got the call that Eye on It was going to be the theme song for the ACC tournament, I tripped. I mean, hey, I've had a lot of placements on movies and TV, but I think this is the pinnacle right here. I mean, I grew up an ACC fan. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I love the ACC, and my song music for this, hey, this is thebomb.com.
Well, glad to have Toby Mack with us. You know, we opened our telecast with six-time Grammy winner, and he'll open every tournament session with his song Eye on It from the newly released album with the same name. Toby Mack has sold more than 11 million albums in his music career, so check out Eye on It in stores today. Get more news on TobyMack.com. Getting ready for NC State, Virginia Tech, including the nation's leading scorer, Eric Green. But first, this word from your local ACC station. The first round rolls on as NC State takes on Virginia Tech. The Wolfpack were the preseason favorites and had some big wins this season as they aim to make a long stay in Greensboro. All-ACC first-teamer Richard Howell is ready to do battle down low against a team that includes the nation's leading scorer. Eric Green is averaging over 25 points a game and comes into the tournament looking to surprise the ACC. NC State and Virginia Tech from Greensboro coming up right now. Welcome back to the Greensboro Coliseum as NC State, the 5 seed, gets ready to take on Virginia Tech. As we said, these two teams had an overtime game when they played in Raleigh. State with 10 tournament titles. They're the third winningest team in tournament history. And the first round will continue here in Greensboro as the 5 seed, the NC State Wolfpack, with 22 wins in the season, takes on Virginia Tech. Mike Hawkwood, Corey Alexander back with you now. And Corey, I want to talk a moment about BC because this crowd is still buzzing about that 41-point performance from Olivier Hanlon. How now do they match up against Miami tomorrow?
Well, unfortunately for Boston College, they have to match up with probably the best backcourt in the ACC when you look at Shane Larkin and Durant Scott. Durant Scott, the Defensive Player of the Year, I'm most certain will draw the ire of Olivier Hanlon, so that will be the matchup there. But how will BC defend the pick and roll with Shane Larkin? That will be the tough task. Olivier Hanlon with a great performance, and you always will get the attention of the Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, so move them on in the brackets to play Miami, and NC State and Virginia Tech now will decide who will play Virginia, Maryland, Wake Forest, Florida State, Clemson tonight. All right, let's talk about this game coming up with NC State and Virginia Tech. Can Virginia Tech win this game? What do they have to do to win?
Well, of course, Virginia Tech can win this game. You mentioned an overtime game in Raleigh before. However, they have to get production from both Jarrell Eddy and Robert Brown, because NC State can score very well. Virginia Tech is going to have to keep up on the point production because it's very difficult to guard NC State.
Now, this is an NC State team that was playing very well down the stretch, but last weekend they stumbled a bit at Florida State. How does that impact them coming into the tournament?
Well, it impacts them, but however, NC State has a veteran team, and they're led by Lorenzo Brown, who basically was one of the best point guards in the ACC. And when you look at Brown, he's a guy that has to lead this team and also keep C.J. Leslie involved in the game. That's very important for the Wolfpack, to make sure Leslie is involved on every possession, whether he's engaged offensively or defensively.
Corey, you were known as a pretty darn good defensive player when your days at Virginia. How do you slow down Eric Green, and what makes him so tough to stop?
Well, for me personally, I would have just tried to outscore him. but everyone else, you have to find a way just to make him work for his shots. Eric Green averages about 17 field goal attempts per game, but he's very efficient, and he gets to the free throw line extremely well. He's a guy that can score in all 4 facets of the game: at the rim, mid-range, at the free throw line, and now he's shooting the ball so well from behind the three-point arc, it makes him virtually unguardable.
And you know, when they get a Jarrell Eddy or a Robert Brown to bring their offensive game, they can be tough.
They can be extremely tough. However, the concern for Virginia Tech is, can they guard NC State on the other end? C.J. Leslie presents a tremendous challenge, and if he's engaged and plays with a sense of urgency, he is hard to stop.
Yeah, Richard Howell, first team All-ACC. He is a load inside.
And more importantly, he's great on the offensive rebounds, where Virginia Tech has struggled on defending their own defensive boards all year. Richard Howell could have a field day in the paint for the Wolfpack.
Well, we're about ready to see what happens. Number 5, number 12. Tim Brandt, Mike Jaminski are ready to go on the other side. The crowd is here. There's a lot of red, but I see some Hokies in the crowd as well. Going to be a great atmosphere for Game 2, Day 1 of the ACC tournament. It's Virginia Tech and NC State. Get ready. The 2013 ACC tournament continues from Greensboro in just a moment.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by ACCT, by Ruby Tuesday, by BB&T, by Hyundai, and by Food Lion.
Well, the Virginia Tech band getting everybody geared up as the Hokies come out onto the court here for the second game this afternoon in the 60th annual ACC tournament. Number 12 against number 5 NC State. Everybody's talked about that game between these two, February 16th. 90-86 in overtime. High-scoring game. Do we expect that here in this one, Mike?
Well, the first game of this series was pretty high scoring, and you've got the #1 scorer in the nation in Eric Green. So he's sitting there. He just had his career high recently, 35 points. Right. And he's thinking, well, if the freshman can put up 41, maybe I can do something like that.
Take us through the 4 keys to the game.
Well, he took it, and we talk about Eric Green, but for Virginia Tech, they've got to have other people step up, get some help from his friends. Marshall Wood, 14 and 16 in the first game, but primarily Jarrell Eddy and Robert Brown need to be scorers in this game. For NC State, I think their big advantage is up front, and they really dominated in the first series with 43 free throw attempts, so that's got to be a point of emphasis for them.
Well, we were talking about Olivier Hanlon as you look at Mark Gottfried, and he certainly doesn't want to see anybody go off from the other team. He's got some pretty good scorers himself. He's got Wood, Leslie, T.J. Warren. On the other side, of course, James Johnson. He replaced Seth Greenberg. He's been on that Greenberg staff, left for Clemson, and was brought back within 2 weeks to be the head coach at Virginia Tech. Gearing up here for game 1 as you look at Scott Wood, one of the best three-point shooters in the entire nation.
Well, this is a big game for NC State, and this is a game where they've got to come with some focus and some resolve about them, and not just think that they're going to roll it out there and win on talent.
We were talking about Olivier Hanlon. What a performance. He went 14 of 18. He made his last 12 shots. He ended 41 points as Boston College advances. And now we'll move on to game 2 and see who will be the star in this one. Coming up next. A fresh breeze and cool temperatures. But on this day, there's not a cloud in the sky. Spectacular afternoon in Greensboro, North Carolina, as they are wandering in here for Game 2 of the 60th Annual Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament. Look at the food line starting lineups. First for Virginia Tech, and Mike, all eyes will be firmly focused on Eric Green, the nation's scoring leader.
And yet he continues to score at an unbelievable pace. And I think it's going to be critical, too, for C.J. Barksdale to be involved in this game. He's given them a little bit more offense at the end of the year.
North Carolina State, 11 ACC regular season wins, the most for State since the 2004 season. Of course, Lorenzo Brown is the guy that makes everything go. Hal, first team All-ACC. Leslie Wood and Warren, all dangerous. Let's go over and check in with the third member of our broadcast team, Debbie Antonelli. Debbie?
Well, guys, the big question about NC State is which team is going to show up? The one that beat Duke and Carolina earlier in the year, or the one that lost to the team seated below them in this tournament? I talked to Richard Howell yesterday. He said they control their own destiny right now. It's defense and rebounding, getting all the hustle plays, getting the 50-50 balls, and running the floor hard in transition so they can take advantage of all their offensive balance, including 4 1,000-point scorers on the floor.
All right, Debbie, as you look at NC State, this is a ball club that didn't want to be here, did not want to be in this game. They wanted that first round bye and had a chance to get it until they lost at the end of the season to Florida State. And that was one of the situations, I think, that has this team primed and ready and a little bit spirited to get going here in this ball game.
Well, I think the start's going to be a key, and Lorenzo Brown's such a huge part of what they do. He makes them go. If Virginia Tech can keep them in the half court, it could be an issue. NC State much better out in the open floor. But this move, too, we talk about size. When T.J. Warren was put into the starting lineup, they competed better off the glass, and that's going to be an issue for Virginia Tech.
The officials for this game, Brian Kersey, Tim Nestor, and Jerry Heater. And Brian Kersey will throw it up and start the game. NC State will have it first. This is the 14th time in 21 years that State has had to play on a Thursday. And I told you earlier that no team had ever won 4 straight in this tournament, but NC State did come the closest and almost did it. This is Hal to the rack, and the Wolfpack lead 2-0.
Well, he's first team All-League and well deserving of that honor coming in. He's been a warrior all year, a rebounding machine, but a great face-up move that time on Raines.
Now, one thing you have to be conscious of with Eric Green, he's the nation's scoring leader, but he doesn't force the issue. Usually eases into games, lets the game come to him, tries to get everybody else involved. Here he is. Gives it up. And Hal comes down with his first rebound of the game. Lorenzo Brown, one of the best point guards that you'll see. Outstanding player. Really can't go far in any tournament, really, without an outstanding point guard.
I love his size right there, the ability to see in the paint area.
Richard Howell has 4 points in a hurry.
Virginia Tech committing early to come double team Leslie, get the ball out of his hands.
So it's 4-0 NC State. Keep in mind, in game 1, Georgia Tech jumped out to a 15-0 lead over Boston College, but then lost by 20. Air ball will set the pack running again. Now, Low Brown brings it back and resets. C.J. Leslie with a little jumper. And it's 6-0 NC State.
Yeah, usually if he's involved and engaged early in a game, that's a good sign.
Virginia Tech, the number 12 seed, with a disappointing 13-18 record, just 4-14 in the conference this year. A little spin and turn, and Raines has the Hokies on the board.
You can tell when he's going to get involved offensively, starts using pump fakes inside, and that's usually a good sign for him. Very aggressive. If anybody, they want to try to get Howell on the bench from foul trouble.
And this was last touched by Virginia Tech, so it'll belong to the Wolfpack. Eddie reached out, couldn't pull it in. As you look at their numbers, only team in the nation with 5 players averaging over 12 points a game. Yeah, they did well on the all-tournament team as well.
And that's the thing about playing today. The block inside. is that the State's basically playing with 6.5 guys, and to have to go 4 in 4 days, that's going to be tough.
Absolutely.
But you take them one at a time.
Richard Howell, All-ACC first team. Lo Brown, C.J. Leslie, second team. T.J. Warren, the all-freshman team, fight for the rebound. And again, this time it's touched by NC State.
That's the thing about Virginia Tech, a very porous defense. They have to score points to be in games.
Raines goes inside with it. Brown with the turnaround against the roll. 2-point game.
Really went through a very, very tough stretch in the ACC. Did not shoot the ball well. 33% from the floor, 24 from 3. But a good confidence builder early on for him.
So they took the shot early from NC State. Now they've clawed back. Here's a turnover by Wood that starts the break. Green, yes, sir.
And you know, that's the confidence of a leading scorer in the nation. On the break, took a step back from behind the arc to tee up the 3.
And Virginia Tech leads by 1. This is Wood. And Wood is fouled. Brown reached in and grabbed him. And that'll be Brown's first. Virginia Tech Hokies, of course. Green, what a year.
And thank goodness James Johnson didn't sell his house in Blacksburg or buy in Clemson.
It only took 2 weeks. It was a slow market. Scott Wood, one of the best free throw shooters in the nation, 91% from the line. Coming into this game, 72 of his 79. How about that stroke?
You know you're a great free throw shooter when you can remember every single one of your misses. There were so few.
They jump out on Green. He takes Brown down the middle.
I like that matchup, the size of Lorenzo Brown against Eric Green.
Eddie knocks down a 2-ball.
Well, the 2 guys that I called out for offense have stepped up and knocked down their first shots, in Brown and Eddie.
Greensboro Coliseum filling up here for the second game. Quick break. Tee it up. Let's go again. What a great time of the year. Tournament time. Green looks at the 3 and takes it. He's knocked down 2 in a row.
Well, you wonder how the #1 scorer in the nation can get an open look like that in a 2-man game.
They jump out on Wood. They'll do that all day. They're going to try to deny him that 3. Brown with a great dish. Howell off to a quick start. He's got 6 points.
Right now, Mark Gottfried yelling out, "Where's our pressure?" Virginia Tech able to make any pass they want, getting into a good rhythm.
Back inside, turnover by the Hokies. Numbers are not there for Brown. Kicks it out to Wood for 3.
Yeah, and that's what he'll do is hunt the 3-point line in transition. So with him, you have to build out, identify where he is, and get to him. He will not go past the 3-point line.
Here's Green. They double him in a hurry. Barksdale off balance, and 1. He'll go to the line. It was a block. So Howell picks up his first. Barksdale will have a chance for the 3-point play, but so far, Eric Green with 2 threes. And at the other end, Wood. Bam. It's a good one. Well, with the outstanding three-ball shooters we've got in this game. We want to take a look at the Haviland defensive shield because, Mike, this has to be a key today.
Well, we need Haviland to rush a couple of defensive shields over here right now. Virginia Tech, see the field goal percentage. NC State on paper is the better offensive team, but right now, Virginia Tech shooting 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3. After missing their first 2 shots, have hit their last 6, and NC State at 56%.
Well, and everybody's looking at Eric Green. He's 2 for 2 so far. Both of them were from beyond the arc, so he's getting a little spicy early. Barksdale makes 3 the old-fashioned way as he completes the three-point play. And it's a 2-point lead.
I alluded to the fact that Virginia Tech was the most porous defense in the conference. NC State is right behind them in number 11. And they're a much better defensive team at home than they are on the road.
And Wood is called for the foul here. So Marshall Wood picks up his first.
Face down from behind, trying to be aggressive, shake things up a little bit. We talked about Wood had the game of his life in Raleigh, 14 points and 16 rebounds. A duplication of that would help the cause for Virginia Tech.
C.J. Leslie into the lane, takes it in reverse and scores. He's got 4 points.
Right, it's plays like that, Tim, that want you to even more when you watch him. It's just sometimes even in games he'll drift mentally, but just an explosive talent.
Keep in mind, folks, NC State was picked to win this conference in the preseason. And this foul will send Wood to the line. As he looks his arm, make sure he still has it.
Right, he took the cameraman down in the end zone, he took a full charge on that one. Here's the play. I mean, right, they clear out that whole side for him, a little bit of a brush screen, lazy jump out, and you've got to commit to double teaming him if you're going to do that. He is just too good off the dribble.
Wood knocks that down. He's got 6 points. The last 7 games of the regular season, Scott Wood has averaged 14 points a game. And again, we tell you he's a 91% free throw shooter. Makes them both. And the Wolfpack leads by 2.
Really, Tyler Lewis, an amazing player and story. Got time out of the court when Lorenzo Brown was hurt. Proved he was worthy of that time, and they've had to find room for him in the lineup. But if he was standing in the Y without a basketball in his hand, you may not pick him. But he can play.
Tyler Lewis is only 5'11", 157 pounds. He's a freshman. Here's a whistle and a foul. Ruby Tuesday takes us around the ACC to check in on conference action. Boston College won the first game. Terrific performance by the freshman Olivier Hanlon, 41 points. ACC tournament freshman record. Of course, tonight, pretty good slate coming up, Mike.
Yeah, Maryland needing to win out to get into the tournament. Alex Len is going to be a big part of that game, and Clemson needs, they've got to look at this as a second life, the way they finished in the conference this year. I hope that Corey Alexander isn't mad at me for getting on one of his Oak Hill guys. I mean, he's very sensitive about that.
Jarrell Eddy has another one coming. Jarrell Eddy, a 6'7" junior from Charlotte, North Carolina. He was named to the All-ACC academic team. And he now has 4 points. Tied at 17. Wood. A rare miss. That'll get Eric Green going into transition. And he'll take it right at the rack.
1 on 4, why not?
Tyler Lewis usually dishes when he goes down the middle. Back to Leslie. And Leslie is fouled. One thing about Tyler Lewis, they're trying to get him to shoot more. He can drive, draw, and dish. But he hadn't been shooting very much.
Yeah, well, in ACC play, though, 25 assists, only 5 turnovers. So very, very solid with the basketball. And also a very good free throw shooter. A couple of things that are critical numbers from your point guard.
Yeah, absolutely. He only averages 4 points. The foul was on Van Zegeren, and C.J. Leslie makes it a 1-point lead.
Richard Howell returns for NC State.
So Darian Raines comes back into the ball game. Van Zegeren goes out. Leslie misses the second. Raines looks aggressive today. We've already seen him aggressive offensively. And he's got a couple of rebounds.
They're trying to post Brown up on Lewis inside. Use that height advantage.
Here's Robert Brown. Brown thinks he can take Lewis. Takes him to the baseline. And a soft one-hander doesn't go. Leslie pulls it down. C.J. Howe. Or Richard Howe, correction.
Just so efficient and quiet out there, and the way he goes about his business. 4 or 5 now, 8 points for him.
Green from way outside. And he's missed his last 2, Mike.
Yeah, he missed that, but you can't come under him on a ball screen.
Bring it back out, and Lewis will reset. Shot clock has not been a factor in this game yet. Lewis. He has it taken right away from him. NC State wanted a foul. Kick it out. Bring it back to Robert Brown. Inside the Raines.
See, again, you talk about how unselfish Green is. He might have forced that shot, just missed a couple, worked it back up top, and they got a dunk inside by Raines. Very unselfish play for a guy who scores like that. Clear out.
Leslie to the rack. Gets it back. Again. And he walked. What a great start to game 2. The Hokies, the Wolfpack, 1-point differential, and they're going after it. NC State leading by 1 over the number 12 seed Virginia Tech Hokies.
Let's take a look at the ACCT fast analysis and how they're trying to defend the number 1 scorer. Got to find him. The step back threes, had a couple of those in this game. A little late going over the high ball screen. They try to get him open, but Lorenzo Brown, I think a very good matchup for him, Tim. At 6'5", got the size. He can stay in front. He and Rodney Purvis probably the 2 guys best equipped to handle him.
Each team with a couple of turnovers, so defense certainly has been a factor. And they've led the points. Here's a nice pass, nice dish inside, and Barksdale finishes strong.
Talked about NC State needing to have a dominant front line. They've done it offensively, but they've given up 3 dunks in this game so far.
I don't think anybody ever questioned the fact Virginia Tech is extremely athletic. And they get long at times.
Here's the look, and that's just C.J. Leslie completely losing Barksdale on that interchange on the weak side.
So Marquise Rankin picked up the personal foul. That's 2 on him. C.J. Leslie will get a break along with Tyler Lewis. NC State out to Wood. See what they've done from the floor. Their shooting percentages. Brown brings it out now with 20 on the shot clock.
Purvis is a big key for them, too. He hit the wall in the middle of the year, but the last 6 been strong. He's averaging 12 points, the last 4 off the bench.
And this will belong to the Wolfpack with 11 on the shot clock. Real Eddie with good defense there. Midway through the first half, and it's a 1-point game.
And normally when you go for a strip like that, the ball goes straight down. You've got an all ball. It's when it goes up in the air that a foul is called.
Shot clock at 6. Howe's got to go. How about that?
That's pretty nice when your center can bail you out at the end of the shot clock with a face-up 12-foot jump shot.
So Richard Howe, first team All-ACCer, he's in double figures already. He averages a double-double. Back to Howe.
I love when you get rewarded as a big man for running the floor. He made the steal out front and then converted.
3-point lead for State. Eric Green. 10 on the shot clock. And he puts it on the floor. And it'll still belong to the Hokies with 5 on the shot clock.
Nice jump of the ball that time by Brown and Purvis. Staying with him an extra count and then trying to run the two-man game. They just jumped Jarrell Eddy and almost came up with a turnover. Yeah, but welcome to the ACC tournament. Holding my knee, holding my elbow, everything hurts. It's only first half.
Brian, they're sweeping the floor. Brian Kersey giving them a tough time, saying, hey, come on, let's go. 5 on the shot clock now for the Hokies. James just barely got it off, didn't hit anything. That's going to be a travel and a turnover by State. Rodney Purvis with the 3rd turnover for the Pack. He was a little bit out of control there. I thought it was going to be an offensive foul.
Yeah, and he's got the ability to carry it out of the backcourt, but you want to get it to your primary ball handler in Brown, let him lead the break, and you be a finisher.
They jump out on Green. Brown takes it on the baseline, can't finish.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of that from NC State in this game. The strong hedge and jump on Green. They're going to stay with him for a few counts, try to get the ball out of his hands.
There's some chirping taking place. And Brian Kersey now is going to step in and say, hey, let's settle down, fellas.
Carolina State dominating the backboard right now, 11-4.
And this foul is going to be against Brown. So Robert Brown picks up his 2nd personal.
Virginia Tech 1 foul away from being in the penalty.
Well, Wood walked to the foul line. He thought he was going to be shooting 1-and-1.
Nothing wrong with trying to sell it.
No, that's exactly right. Go ahead and test that score. John Madry keeping the numbers over here. He's never wrong. Look at James Johnson. Very important that the Hokies stay in this ball game in the first half.
Just on the eye test, watching the game, if you don't look at the scoreboard, it looks like NC State would be ahead by a lot more than they are right now. But you're right, to the extent that Virginia Tech can shorten this game. Played a zone that time. It's pretty effective.
And they made it pay off. Barksdale's a big body in there. He gives him a lot of rebounding ability. Boy, Eddie looked at the shot, then took one off balance and buried it.
I guess the elbow and the knee are okay. And you just look at him, he can have big-time scoring games.
So it's back to a 1-point game. Lorenzo Brown looks at it, now takes it 2. Oh, what a great job on the boards. And the whistle and the foul, and that's going to be called on T.J. Warren. That's his first timeout on the floor. 7:36 to play in the first half, 2nd game. And it's a 1-point game, 24-23. The Wolfpack leading the Hokies. You are watching the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. 1-point game. Richard Howell off to a quick start here this afternoon, Mike.
Well, and he has been the offense for NC State. Really got them off to a quick start. So efficient inside, 56% on the year. But in this game, 6 of 7. The rest of the team only 3 of 11.
Howell has played 13 minutes in this game so far. He is 6 of 7 from the field. And first team all ACC.
Yeah, and very deserving right there. It's funny, C.J. Leslie was picked the preseason to be there, but Howell by far has been their best player, and every one of those guys really a can't-miss pick.
Meanwhile, the player of the year in the ACC is Eric Green. He had 2 quick baskets here, both from beyond the arc, but no points in the last 8 minutes. And there's a turnover. Timeout. Correction, timeout. Hokies.
Well, and what... And they want a 10-second call right right now, and that's what James Johnson was trying to avoid.
And to be honest with you, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
And the officials are talking about it. I thought they had turned it over on the 10-second call.
Well, this is where on the shot clock that tenths of a second would certainly help, because there could be more, but you can't look at it.
Well, a reminder that the ACC Digital Network is celebrating this time of year by wishing everybody happy Hoops Days. More than a tournament, it's holidays. Celebrate highlights. You can see greatest moments, analysis, all month long. All you have to do is go to the ACCDN.com for the ACC Digital Network, and it's brought to you by Ruby Tuesday.
Well, this is an unbelievable, you know, the regular season is outstanding, but tournament time is something special. Now, here's the thing. I mean, they're going to say it's not a violation, and the thing that I disagree with is they're going to get a fresh 10 seconds to get it over the half court again. That's just, to me, penalizing good defense.
Well, they finally get it across the timeline. Jarrell Eddy with the jumper.
See, right there. I mean, it's a small thing, but right now, that's a 2-point swing. Mark Godfrey thinks it should have been a turnaround. They reset it. They actually put 26 seconds on that clock. The referees don't control the shot clock. That's controlled by the court side.
3 ties, 9 lead changes already in this game. Folks, if you're just joining us, these two went overtime in February, and it was 90-86, the final there when State beat Virginia Tech.
That's why we talk about high percentage shooters. TJ Warren has had an outstanding year, 61%, leading the conference as a freshman.
The largest lead in this game so far, State led by 6. Everything else has been close. Shot clock down to 10. Green for 3. And he continues to struggle since making those first 2 shots. Oh, what a great look inside. Powell with a spin move, can't finish. Hokies want to run. Lost out of bounds by Eric Green. ACC is on Facebook now, and like us, become a fan to be connected to all the inside scoop about the Atlantic Coast Conference. Check out Dunk of the Day posts and join the conversation with other ACC fans from around the world. All you have to do is log on to Facebook.com/the-ACC.
The thing about defending Eric Green is you have to keep him off the free throw line. He averages 8.5 attempts a game, and he has yet to get there. He tried to rectify it on that last play, but didn't get the call. Both teams still shooting pretty well.
Oh, nice pass inside to Howell. Howell with the finish. He has 14 points. Terrific first half by the big fella.
Mostly a below-the-rim type of player, but he is so strong inside. Just carves out space. Finishes extremely well.
Richard Howell led the ACC in rebounds. He also averages a double-double. Been a terrific year. You know, I think they challenged Sedarian Reigns today working against Richard Howell because he's been aggressive from the get-go.
Yeah, they're not double-teaming him.
And a turnover by the Wolfpack. That's 5 turnovers now for NC State.
Well, just a little high-low action right here. A good dump down inside, an unselfish play by Leslie. They just said it's a tough, you know, Jarrell Eddy inside is a couple weight divisions below where Richard Howell is.
Weight divisions. Oh, and Eric Green throws it away. He's struggling a little bit here after a quick start.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you talked about it. He lets other people get involved offensively, but it's time right now, I think, for him to get a little selfish. He's only got 5 field goal attempts so far. And this, you know, that being said, they're only down 1 at this point.
Warren buries it. What a performer he's had, or he is, and what a year he's had. All ACC freshman team.
Both teams signing a non-aggression pact here in this game defensively, both over 50%.
You know, Johnson wanted to take that shot from the get-go and was all alone in the corner. Let's go over to Debbie.
Guys, when I talked to Scott Wood yesterday, he said, we have a lot to prove coming into this event. I mean, we've played well, but we could play better. We haven't played our best basketball yet. We've got to be a team that stays mature. But C.J. Leslie told me we have nothing to prove. We've already played well, and we know we can win this tournament. We can win it in 4 days.
Well, they've got to win it today to advance to their second game. And right now, they're in a pretty good battle with the Hokies.
I would side with Scott Wood's take on this tournament as opposed to C.J. Leslie's.
16 on the shot clock. Jarrell Eddy calls for a clear out, doesn't get it. Shot clock's down to 6. He's got to fire from long range.
Just a completely different team without Eric Green out there.
Low Brown with a great pass, and Warren with the finish.
Yeah, that's where they're at their best, out on the open floor for Virginia Tech, the play that gets the crowd going.
Brown again to Leslie. Timeout, Hokies.
Already 6 assists for Lorenzo Brown in this game. Orchestrates this team out in the open floor. Here's the first look. Let the freshmen be finishers. T.J. Warren on that play. And then off of the steal. Knows his guy is coming from behind. A very unselfish play by Lorenzo Brown, who could have taken that in by himself. Wanted to get his forward involved in the action.
Only the 3rd player in school history to have more than 500 career assists. The other 2, Corciani and Lowe.
Well, and he's there near the top of the league, and 7 assists a game, and probably would have been there, last year, save for a guy named Kendall Marshall. But he's the guy. I mean, we talked about Richard Howell, first team. C.J. Leslie, a potential player of the year candidate, start of the year. Lorenzo Brown is their most important player. And when he went down, it really showed.
Howell loses out of bounds, but Eric Green misses another one, and he is really now struggling.
Fans, be sure to stay in your seats at halftime.
So far, Lorenzo Brown doing the job.
The Wolfpack a little push to get ahead by 7, 34-27. And take a look at Leslie. Eric Green right now. A couple of early step-back threes. Looked like he was on his way to a big night, Tim, but his last basket came at the 15-29 mark. So they've defended him pretty well. He really hasn't been aggressive looking for a shot, but a nice job there by Lorenzo Brown. And a good double team here trying to keep the ball out of Green's hands.
Yeah, no question. He made his first 2. He missed 6 in a row. Only has 6 points. And the largest lead of the game for NC State. Jarrell Eddy with a jumper. Buries it. He's got 10 points.
Yeah, that was a good stoppage of play for Virginia Tech. The crowd's starting to get lathered up a little bit, and then you run a nice out-of-bounds play off the timeout. That's always a good sign.
C.J. Leslie is bumped. They're now in the bonus. Debbie was in that NC State huddle. Debbie, what were they saying?
Guys, on this side of the court, they're talking all defense. As well as NC State got out on the transition and out on the break, it's been their D that has stimulated their offense.
Foul was called on Barksdale. That's his first. Closed captioning for ACC basketball provided by Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. It's Bo time. And it's Leslie time at the line. He now has 9 points, makes them both.
Yeah, in a quiet fashion, 4 rebounds as well. Their leading rebounder in this game.
Boy, Brown almost pickpocketed Brown. And he does force him into a turnover. That's 7 turnovers for the Hokies.
Nice job defensively by Lorenzo Brown. They switched up and they had Scott Wood on Eric Green. You got a big team out there right now, a couple of big guys in the backcourt, and that's bothered Eric Green.
Entry pass to Leslie, and Leslie's being aggressive with it. Loses the handle, but takes it back, and this time is fouled. That's 2 in a row now in Barksdale. Time to look at the nation's top 25, and it's brought to you by the Toyota dealers of the Honda dealers of the Carolinas.
Only 2 ACC teams in there. Duke at this point, second behind Gonzaga and Miami. And you have to think that if it plays out chalk, and whoever wins that tournament final, if it was between those two, would be a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
C.J. Leslie, just a 61% free throw shooter, made his last 2 and misses this one.
But he's gotten re-engaged in this game. He's been more aggressive. They run that play where they clear out the whole left side for him and let him go one-on-one. Empty possession that time. He missed 2 free throws, but get the offensive rebound.
And it's thrown away. Leslie with an ill-advised pass. And NC State's been trying to fight its way into that Honda top 25 all year. Reminder coming up on the Hardy's halftime report. Mike Hogwood, Corey Alexander. They'll break down the first half with highlights and stats and a whole lot more for you. Greensboro Coliseum, 60th annual ACC tournament. Boston College has already advanced. They beat Georgia Tech, and here's another turnover by the Hokies. And Eric Green just shaking his head now, a little frustrated.
Virginia Tech has got to keep that play in the middle of the floor. When they run sideline screen rolls, NC State has really jumped it hard. Nice job by T.J. Warren, too. Nice and big, forcing the turnover. Eric Green's got to get himself some room to maneuver in the middle of the court.
Eric Green with 4 turnovers. This is Wood from beyond the arc. And another foul on C.J. Barksdale. That's 2.
6 of their 16 rebounds on the offensive side for NC State.
So C.J. Warren at the line. He's only a 57% free throw shooter, but the freshman has been getting better all the time. A little short on that one. He pinched it.
Wake Forest limping home down the stretch. They're going to need a big offensive game tonight to get up and down the floor.
It'll be a test for Maryland, too, coming back after that Virginia game where they led by as many as 17 and couldn't close the door.
For Florida State, have had issues at the point guard position all year.
Eric Green still looking for the opening, and C.J. Leslie jumps him.
They aren't even worrying about the screener in that 2-man game with Green.
Boy, his shot now is not even close. Here's Brown right down Main Street.
Boy, rule number 1 on the break is you have to stop the advance of the basketball. Nobody picked up Lorenzo Brown in the open court.
NC State by 9. 60 seconds to play in the first half. Shot clock at 3. Green fires from long range and buries it.
Wow, you know, maybe that lights a fire for him, gives him some momentum into the second half. What a bailout at the end of the clock.
Wood off balance. 30 seconds to play. Green pushes it hard. May have gotten away with a walk. And now they call the timeout.
Timeout, Virginia Tech.
Crowd wanted a walk. Mark Godfrey wanted a 5-second call, and Green wisely takes a timeout. Let's take a look at that nation's top 25, and it's brought to you by Honda dealers of the Carolinas.
Yeah, you got to think Gonzaga, #1 seed as well. Indiana, if it wins in the Big Ten tournament. I like Louisville in the Big East.
Georgetown got a win today, and they continue to move on.
Take a look at C.J. Leslie. Got off to a nice start with that jump shot. Has been pretty active in attacking the glass, trying to get to the free throw line. Brown with a beautiful leave on the break right here. Leslie 9 points, 3 of 5 shooting, 3 of 6 from the line, 4 rebounds. He and Howell up front, we felt they needed a dominant performance from their front court. They've combined for 23 points.
Richard Howe averages 13 points, 11 rebounds a game. He already has 14 points in this game. Final 10 seconds of the half. Green kicks it into the corner. Brown with it. Leslie with a shot that will count. And banks off too hard. The end of the first half. And I mean,
to me, it's with the half that Eric Green had, only 9 points. They say only 9 points. The fact that they're only down 6, that's not a bad result for James Johnson and this team.
NC State's largest lead was 9. And Virginia Tech fights back. And the way that Eric Green was shooting, he started out, as you mentioned, 2 for 2, but he came back and really struggled the rest of the half.
Well, and I think that, NC State did a terrific defensive job on him, that anytime there was a two-man game, that they would just jump Eric Green, make life miserable for him, give him no shot at all, and make somebody else step up. And there were a couple of times when I saw the frustration in his face, and he was yelling for his teammates to come on, get involved, take a shot, and loosen things up a little bit.
The story of this ball game in the first half has been Richard Howe. Mike and Corey on the other side. Stay with us.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Haviland, by Ruby Tuesday, and by Nissan.
Hardee's presents the Hardee's Halftime Report, introducing the charbroiled Atlantic Codfish Sandwich. It's fish without the fry, only at Hardee's. NC State on top of Virginia Tech, 38-32. Mike Hogwood, Corey Alexander with you now. And Corey, I like what Mike Jaminski said. With Eric Green not being as involved in this game as he's been in a lot of Virginia Tech games, to only be down 6, they should feel fortunate.
Well, they've gotten a lot of help from Jarrell Eddy, and that's an encouraging sign for Virginia Tech. And one thing about Eric Green, what he's historically done all season, he hasn't scored big in the first half, but he's come out on fire in the second half. And with only being down 6, NC State needs to be very careful because he will be much more aggressive in the second frame.
Yeah, he should be something in the second half. We think we've got a couple of big games tonight that are going to be great games. First, Maryland and Wake Forest. Maryland needs to win out to really get to the NCAA tournament. And then Florida State and Clemson in the late game tonight. And I'm really looking forward to those 2 games tonight.
Well, of course, when you talk about Florida State and Clemson, you have a number of quality post players. It's a lot of big guys in the paint for those 2 teams. And then Maryland getting an opportunity not only to see Alex Lynn, but Des Wells, who is one of the rising stars in this ACC. It's a treat to get to see him here this evening.
And that's going to be fun tonight. Hey, in the first half, this crowd really got going on these 2 dunks. This one got the crowd on its feet. And then here comes C.J. Leslie with another dunk. NC State by 6 here at the break. You don't have to worry about missing a game this season. Each week, Haviland brings you highlights from every ACC basketball game. Visit the ACC Digital Network or the ACCDN.com or the official ACC mobile app for game highlights, analysis, and more video. Back here at halftime, and I'll tell you what, we already got 1 game in the books. BC trailed 15-0 to Georgia Tech. And then here comes number 21, Olivia Hanlon.
Well, a game for the ages when you talk about a freshman, Olivia Hanlon, and what he was able to do to get the ACC tournament started off. But when you talk about great starts, you have to think about Georgia Tech getting off to a 15-0 run. But when they thought what was going to be good for them, they just became participants in Olivier Day. Olivia Hanlon got it going from behind the arc, 8 of 10 from behind the three-point line, attacked the basket, and had an opportunity to talk with Debbie Antonelli after the game about his historic afternoon.
All right, guys, Olivier, 41 points in 31 minutes. You didn't score a basket till 13:35 mark. What does it feel like to be in that kind of zone?
I was in my zone. I thought every shot was going in. My teammates were lucky enough to, I was lucky enough to have my teammates found me. And I was just hot on the wing, and I was trying to be aggressive, and we did a pretty good job.
A performance like we have not seen today, leading Boston College to a win. They'll now play Miami Georgetown has beaten Cincinnati in the Big East, and also in the Big East in the first half. Syracuse, soon to be in the ACC, up 10 on another future ACC member, Pittsburgh. That's our Nissan scoreboard. And the Big Ten, Michigan by 2 at halftime over Penn State. The final in the SEC, LSU has beaten Georgia. And in the Big 12, it's Oklahoma, a leader there. There's the ACC Hall of Champions. A lot of memorabilia in there. If you're in town, be sure to pay that building a visit. Going to be with us all tournament long, keeping an eye on it. That's what we're doing right here at halftime as State with the lead over Virginia Tech. And, you know, NC State playing well, and Virginia Tech has to get somebody other than Eric Green going, and they did in this first half.
And that person was Jarrell Eddy, and he's a guy that they've needed to rely on all season long. Hasn't had a great season, but a new start here at the ACC tournament. 10 first-half points for Jarrell Eddy, and he's also playing a reverse role, finding Eric Green, who was 3 for 5 from behind the three-point line. But for NC State, it was the interior passing. C.J. Leslie and Richard Howell together combined for 23 points in the first half. And, of course, Lorenzo Brown getting them out in transition. When C.J. Leslie is able to finish the way that he has, they're normally going to be successful.
Well, they had a good first half. As we take a look now at the Hyundai halftime stats, look at the shooting. Both teams shooting the ball extremely well.
But you see the points off turnovers, and that's the difference in the game. The 6 points edge that NC State has, and a lot of that coming off of 4 uncharacteristic turnovers by Eric Green in the first half.
All right, we're about ready to get the second half going from here in the Greensboro Coliseum. Tim and the G-Man on the other side with the second half. Corey and I'll see you after the game.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by your local Toyota dealers, by Hardee's, by Geico, and by Carolina Ford.
It's a little bit chilly in Greensboro today, so come on inside where things are heating up. 38-32. You know, Corey Alexander talked about Richard Howell, 7 of 9 from the field. But I think that just as big a story is Eric Green, who's 3 for 8, really struggled in that first half.
Well, Tim, they've done a couple of things with him. They've kept him off the free throw line, which is huge, and made him shoot a low percentage by jumping him anytime he comes off of a screen. So he has seen a lot of white jerseys in his face. And take a look at his shot chart now. For a mere mortal, this wouldn't be a bad half on 9 points, 3 of 3 threes, 3 of 8 shooting. But for the leading scorer in the nation, they're going to need him to pick it up. And he's going to have...
Let's go over to Debbie Antonelli.
Well, guys, no surprise, both coaches talked about Eric Green and his play in the first half. Of course, James Johnson wants to keep running him off all that screening action. They got to keep trying to find gaps for him to be able to score. On the other side, Mark Gottfried said he thought Lorenzo Brown did a terrific job in defending him. He thought their defensive energy is what changed the tempo of the first half. Expect more of that defensive effort out of NC State.
Yeah, Lo Brown was like a waiter. He just kept serving everybody up. Lorenzo Brown with 6 assists in that first half.
Well, and that's the thing. It serves, you know, to Deb's point, when they were at their best in the first half, they were out in the half court. 8 turnovers, 13 points as a result of that. And the thing, too, a lot of those plays really got the crowd energized.
Today's coverage of ACC basketball is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces stationed around the globe in 175 countries and certainly on the high seas. We are so proud of everything that you do for us every single day, and we're glad to have you with us. Underway in the second half, second game here at Greensboro, 60th annual ACC basketball tournament. Now they stop right away.
Shot clock
never did get going. Good job by Mark Gottfried, curator of clocks today, keeping his eye on him. If you're just joining us, Boston College with a terrific performance out of Olivier Hanlon today. Tournament record, 41 points. And Boston College beat Georgia Tech 84-64.
Harrison Barnes, the last 40-point scorer in this tournament.
seen some great performances. Talking with Dan Bonner at the half, he was talking about Randolph Childress. Remember that great tournament he had when they beat Carolina for the title.
And, Dave Odom is in the house today as well.
Oh, it's a star-studded crowd. You got Dave Odom, you got Bobby Cremins. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's a luminary. 38-32. NC State is the leader here. Number 5 seed against the number 12 seed Hokies. Lorenzo Brown picks up his dribble, gets it back from Wood. Shot clock at 10. Here's Brown. Loses the handle at 4. And State gets it back.
Offensive rebounds have been a killer. You know, when you're shooting over 50% and you get 9 offensive rebounds, that puts a lot of pressure on Virginia Tech's defense, plus their ability to score the ball.
No hurry for NC State. Not a lot of motion offensively. Brown looks down low, now spins, gives it to Warren. And Brown shoots with 10 on the shot clock and hits the 3.
Yeah, that's almost a minute possession right there, and it winds up with a 3-point basket.
9-point lead. That's been their largest. Very quiet first half for Eric Green. We'll see if he can get going here in the second half. And this is a whistle and a foul, and it's called on Richard Howe. That's his second.
Nice balanced scoring, really, by the Wolfpack, and we talked about it. The only team with 5 players averaging over 12 points a game, and it looks like they're all headed that way again today. Howell's a guy who's really not a selfish scorer. I mean, he'd probably be content to be where he is right now.
Into the corner. Good, strong drive. And Rankin has his first bucket of the afternoon. Actually looked at the 3 and lost the handle. Then was forced to drive. Good fast move by Leslie, and he's fouled.
The foul has been charged to Virginia Tech at number 4, Sedarian Raines.
Foul is on Raines. That's his second.
Foul number 1 here in the second half.
Well, the story is Eric Green, obviously. Sedarian Raines has been playing aggressively. Barksdale gave him a good 5 points. Brown just had his first bucket.
And Green is usually the guy who's got his picture up at the top, leading them at the half. He's been their leading scorer 29 of 31 games.
Leslie, 4 of 7 from the line today.
I think one of the issues, too, with we talked about NC State and all season long, none of those guys out there are real vocal leaders. They're all kind of lead by example guys. Even Lorenzo Brown, your point guard. Richard Howell, very much that way.
Well, you look at Howe, you look at Wood, you look at the seniors on that NC State team, and think, whoa, Sedarian Raines with a power move. He's got 8 points. Well, my point was going to be, Mike, that the seniors have been through the Sidney low times and now the high times with Mark Gottfried, and they go to back-to-back 20-win seasons. So, I mean, this is a good time for NC State. Even though some say, well, they didn't live up to the preseason expectations. They're still 22-9 for the year. Brown from beyond the arc.
Well, it illustrates, too, what an outstanding job that Tony Bennett did at Virginia this year to get that bye.
NC State and Virginia both finished the regular season with 11-7 records in the conference. Here's Eddie to the rack, and he scores. But UVA won the bye on the tiebreaker based on the Wahoo's 58-55 win against the Pack January 29th in Charlottesville.
Well, all of a sudden, Corey Alexander talked about Jarrell Eddy at the half and what a good game he's had to this point.
Wood for 3, and he's in double figures.
That Scott Wood shooting the ball is going to be a huge lift to NC State.
Green is fouled before he got the shot off.
The foul will be charged to NC State at number 2.
This is one of the things he's improved so much on. A little screen the screener that time gave himself a little bit of room. Rankin guarding him, he can just shoot right over the top of him.
Foul was on Lorenzo Brown. His first. Green frees up. Still cannot get it to go down.
And that is one of the best looks he's had today. But when you've struggled a little bit, even to score at that level, tend to rush your shot a little bit.
This foul is called on Marquise Rankin. Timeout. We'll take one as well.
Team foul number 2. There is a
The ACC Corporate Champions salute the Atlantic Coast Conference on the 60th anniversary of one of college basketball's greatest traditions, the ACC Basketball Tournament. We're underway here in Greensboro. What a terrific day it's been. Boston College led by 41 from Olivier Hanlon. Beats Georgia Tech by 20, and here NC State leads Virginia Tech with 15:55 left to play.
Go, Pat! Let's go!
35 on the shot clock as Lorenzo Brown brings it into T.J. Warren. You know, you talked about the size differential between Brown and Green early in the ball game. It certainly has made a difference. At least Brown on Green when Green's on offense.
This is NC State's a sneaky big team with Wood and Brown in the backcourt.
Here Wood turns it over, starts the transition. Rankin takes it right at the rack and scores.
Lorenzo Brown on that turnover right there he was really in no man's land right there. Did not commit to the ball, and when you do that, the point guard Rankin doing the right thing, taking it to the rim, and all of a sudden back to a 6-point game.
Here's Howell. What a game he's having. 8-point game. Eddie with a turnaround. All of a sudden, some offense here. Eddie now with 14 points.
Warren for 3. Yeah, combined 9 of 14 right now. Not a lot of defense being played.
Rankin's given him a little bit of quickness when he came in. Here's a little jump hook, which is short. And the lead pass out in front to Howell. Oh, what a look and delivery by Lorenzo Brown.
Yeah, always has his eyes up the floor looking, and Richard Howell just beat everybody on that rebound.
He now has his 7 assists. Back to Green, frees up beyond the arc.
Nice recovery, and it looks like Eric Green is going to start to be a little bit more aggressive. A good throwback by Rankin at the length of Wood, able to bother that shot. And look at this, we'll look ahead. Just no balance right there on that shot. Nobody back for Virginia Tech defensively.
And another great delivery from Lorenzo Brown. Meanwhile, Eric Green, basket must look like a golf cup because he is struggling.
North Carolina State dominating the glass right now. Walk.
And Brown turns it over. That's 8 turnovers, as you say, Mike, on the walk. Unusual for Lorenzo Brown.
Well, a lot of times the referees will not call that on a guard out front for a primary ball handler. A big guy who tries to do something, they'll call it every time.
A little sensitive, aren't we?
I would just stating facts.
And they give it right back.
Guards are a necessary part of the game.
Marshall Wood picks up his 2nd personal. Johnson goes out.
A couple of teams headed this way. Pitt and Syracuse playing each other in the Big East tournament.
Van Zegeren comes back in.
Arizona State, tough loss for Stanford at the buzzer. Herb Sendek out there trying to get back into the tournament.
Running one-hander by Warren finds the bottom of the net.
They've been, NC State's been much more efficient. They reeled it into a 6-point. Now it's 13, but they've been pretty efficient in the half court.
That's NC State's largest lead. Lorenzo Brown doing a great job with Green. Here he is. Now Green goes, takes it to the rack, off balance. He still cannot get the shot. It's almost like he was undecided whether to bank it in or not. Howell lost the handle. Crowd wanted to walk, but he didn't have possession. And he takes it to the basket and scores. He has 20 points.
On 10 of 12 shooting. You shoot 12 shots and score 20 points. That's about as efficient as it gets.
Well, since they cut that lead, we talked about it. State's gone on a 9-0 run. You are watching the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. ACC basketball games are brought to you in high definition by the ACC Network. .12:32 to play in this ball game. Game 2 of the ACC tournament. 57-42 is the NC State score. See if Eric Green can shoot him back into this thing before it's too late. Hokies with the ball. Rankin with the entry pass is kicked out of bounds. It'll belong to Virginia Tech. Eric Green will bring it in. Brian Kersey saying, come on, somebody want to play?
You know, it's amazing that there should only, it's on the list, there should only be about a 3-inch difference in height between Brown and Green, but he certainly looks a lot taller than him.
Green takes it in and again struggles to get it over Brown. Brown will start the break. He's got a 3-on-1. It almost looked like Purvis had gone too far and had to come back to get that shot.
Yeah, it was just, and Brown just pointed to his chest. I think he carried that probably one dribble too far. But still, it's just NC State doing anything they want to offensively in this half.
And the Wolfpack just starting to walk away with it now. That 3 will help. So Jarrell Eddy with 17 points now.
Yeah, he has shown up in this game.
Long to the basket. Raines comes away with it. Gets it to Green. Green scores a bucket.
Now let's see. You know, a lot of times we talked about it for a great score. You're struggling a little bit to get a layup like that. Loosens things up some, and still, you know, still just a 12-point game with plenty of time to play.
Green just 4 of 13. This foul will be against Rankin.
Foul will be charged to Virginia Tech. At number 10, Marquise Rankin. His third.
That's 3 on Marquise Rankin. The band plays on with 11:08 to go in Game 2 of the ACC basketball tournament.
Let's revisit our AT&T fast analysis, and it's been North Carolina State's defense of Eric Green, the nation's leading scorer. They have really bottled him up. Lorenzo Brown has done a wonderful job, man on man. Nice anticipation by Howell right there, and then they've really jumped him on a double team whenever he gets close. Let's go over and see what Debbie Antonelli has to say. Deb?
Well, guys, when you look at those numbers, they didn't come easily. There's a tremendous work ethic behind all the accolades that Eric has received this year. He makes 350 shots a day. They're all simulating game situations. He's motivated by people saying he would never become anything. Well, he averaged 2.6 points his freshman year. Now he leads the nation in scoring. James Johnson said he gets to work every day at 6 a.m. and Eric is right behind him every morning.
Well, on days like this, though, Debbie, he really needs some help. He's got to get some scoring from some of the other guys. I mean, NC State, as Mike mentioned, is sharing. And I mean, they've got 4 guys in double figures. Hal with 20, Leslie with 11, Warner with 11, Wood with 10.
But, you know, and the thing is, though, that nobody else in that lineup can beat you. Eric Green can beat you. And you know that Bobby Lutz really took on the challenge. He's the defensive coordinator, if you will, for NC State. And this is a tremendous challenge, and they've done a terrific job the first 30 minutes.
NC State loses their drafts that time. And Eddie makes him pay, takes it right at the basket. He's got 19 points. Terrific game by Jarrell Eddie. So we were talking about other guys stepping up. Jarrell Eddie today certainly has.
Well, even with the leading score, he's averaging 12 a game. The thing I like about him is size, and he rebounds his position very well, just under 6 a game.
Hal comes away with it again, and they're going to call the black.
The foul has been charged.
We talked about shooting the ball efficiently, and Jarrell Eddie got off to a very quick start in this game. Nice pump fake. That's a pretty good mid-range game. We talked about his size. He can operate inside, the pull-up on the break that time. And Tim, he's 8 of 10 in this game, 19 points, 1 of 2 from 3.
Shot clock at 25 now. Brown brings it back out and will reset this offense for NC State. Purvis looks at the 3 again. A little bit strong. A little bit of a run now by Virginia Tech. It's a 7-0 Tech run, and it's a 10-point game. Here's Green off balance. And that was a 50-50 ball that NC State came away with, and now the foul.
Well, the thing, again, we talk about with NC State, which they have to. You got a 10-point lead right now, 9.5 to go. This is where the concentration comes in, and not losing focus and drifting out there and hoisting up threes. You've got things that would work for you. Going inside, just continue to be dominant. Pick it up a little bit more on the defensive end of the floor. Get some steals.
Hal with the turnaround.
What a game. Yeah, he's been the guy who's had the answer, it seems like, almost every time for State. Getting the ball right in the middle of that time of the zone.
Richard Howell, first team all-conference. Inside to Raines. Ball knocked away. Eric Green wanted a foul call, didn't get it. Instead, Lorenzo Brown just pushes it right to the basket and can't finish it. Boy, he was right there. I think he was expecting somebody to come in and foul him or block him.
He won't many shots like that.
Eddie for 3. Then comes back and makes the tough one.
Yeah, on a 1-on-5 break. TJ Warren was the only other guy over half court for NC State. Brown took everybody on and made the play.
8:25 to play in the ball game. NC State trying to hold on. To win the title, they're going to have to win 4 straight games. Hasn't been done before in the ACC tournament. But it was NC State that came the closest to doing it.
Well, Tim, and if any team needs to put this away early and get some guys some rest, it's NC State.
Turnover by Brown. Eric Green, way too strong.
I mean, that's been his only look. I mean, just to get something in transition. They've even tried running pick and rolls with the center, Sedarian Raines, but Howell stays out with Green, not even really caring about whether Raines rolls in or not.
Green gives a sarcastic smile. He just knows it's just not right there. He keeps trying to find it, try to dial it in, and just can't do it. Meanwhile, Richard Howell, 11 of 13 from the field. Spin move, and the foul will be on Barksdale.
The foul will be charged to Virginia Tech at number 42.
We'll be back after a word from our ACC local stations.
I'm with Derek Wittenberg. Derek, what's it feel like to be a legend in the ACC?
Wow, it's been a long time. It's a great tournament being back in Greensboro. I'm so honored, so humbled, and thankful to be NC State's legend.
Derek, when you came to the tournament in 1983, where NC State was in a regular season, you had to win the tournament to advance to the NCAA. What was that like playing in that environment?
Wow, 30 years ago, if we didn't win this tournament, upsetting Ralph Sampson, a 3-time Player of the Year, the great North Carolina with Dean Smith and Michael Jordan, if we didn't beat those guys, we would have had no chance getting into the NCAA tournament.
Whit, you have a documentary that you've been working on. Why don't you tell us what your project's been lately?
Well, the film is called Survive in Advance. It's going to air Sunday, March 17th at 9 o'clock, right after Selection Sunday. It's going to be a story about the 1983 season. It's a wonderful film, and we're excited for it to air.
Thank you very much for your time. Great to see you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, this is one of my old college, well, not teammates, but we were at NC State at the same time. Let me just say that, guys.
Both of you great. I'm telling you, that was terrific.
Yeah, and that was a pass at the end of the game. It wasn't a shot.
Although Terry Gannon says he's still open. He was over on the right wing. How about Lorenzo Brown? He's got 10 assists today as you look at Whit one more time.
And only 2 turnovers, too. So, you know, just you have a 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's outstanding.
Low Brown looking to have a double-double to start the tournament. He's got 9 points, 10 assists. Just about there. This foul will be on Richard Howell. Lost control there for a second. Got him with the body. Tyler Lewis back into the ball game for NC State. Back outside to Wood. Marshall Wood's shot is strong. Lewis brings it back. No hurry now for NC State.
Again, good minutes on the bench for Lorenzo Brown right now.
Foul is on Green. Hey, fans, want to win Outback dinner packages for a year? Just download the official ACC mobile apps presented by Outback Steakhouses at the ACC.com/apps. Visit the basketball championship pages within the mobile apps where you can get the ACC tournament information and enter to win the Outback for a year. 2 prize packages will be awarded today, so enter right now.
You know, Tim, it's amazing how with injury other things happened, and Tyler Lewis got his opportunity. I don't know that the coaching staff had a ton of confidence in him early in the year, but he certainly earned it during that stretch and earned minutes on the floor.
85% free throw shooter as you look at the free throw shooting in this game. Big differential. That too has been a factor.
Well, in the first game, NC State 31 of 43 from the line. Virginia Tech 5 of 7. That was their lowest output of the year, and they're headed in that direction right now.
This is what you're talking about. 90-86, high-scoring game.
And you still only lose by 4 in overtime. That's an amazing thing.
And Virginia Tech just can't get it to fall when they need it the most. Warren will fire from 3. Green gets it back, and he wants to get down there in a hurry.
Yeah, that's the thing. NC State, they can't get into that. I'm going to get mine right now on the offensive end of the floor, and a great block.
Van Zagren gets blocked. CJ said, not here, big fella.
He had been quiet in this half, and it looked like he had an open path to the lane, but CJ Leslie, just talk about his explosiveness. Great defensive help.
Looked like Mike Cheminsky with that block.
I don't think so.
This foul's going to be on Scott Wood.
He foul has been charged to NC State. And number 15, Scott Wood. That is his.
He'll take a couple of those fouls as they move Eric Green around.
Tim, you can see right now that Eric Green is really fatigued. I mean, he's laboring to breathe right now. He's had to work so hard. And normally gets results as with that, but just not having the offensive day that he needed today.
This is a 2-ball, and he's fouled.
How about this, Tim? 6:06 left in the game. The first free throw attempts for Green.
Amazing. He's only 4 of 17 from the field. Nation scoring leader. And he's been there for most of this season. And makes the free throw. Closed captioning for ACC basketball is provided by Bojangles. Famous chicken and biscuits. It's Bo time. Eric Green makes them both. 67-51. Green with a steal, but couldn't stay in bounds.
Yeah, but that's the senior right there. 16 points down, but still making plays, still hustling defensively, not shooting the ball great, but trying to do the other things.
Manufacturing points. He averages 25 a game. Here today, he's got 13.
Timeout, NC State.
And NC State takes a timeout. You know, the ACC and your local Toyota dealers are unlocking the archives, and you can relive over 60 classic games. We head back to 1987. NC State and North Carolina in the championship game with 35 seconds left. Kenny Smith scores to put the Tar Heels up by 1. However, tournament MVP Benny Del Negro, he hit 2 free throws in the final 14 seconds for the lead, and Carolina can't connect at the buzzer. The Wolfpack wins 68-67. You can watch the entire game or search for your favorite moments. The ACC.com/vault. It's brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Jim Valvano ever in search of a pair of arms to jump into after the win. It's pretty strong right there. Company for Mark Gottfried. He really has come in and make a splash in this program in the first 2 years.
Sure has. Mark Gottfried in his second season, tied for 4th in the ACC last year. 48 years old, led Alabama to the SEC title. Had a little hiatus, became an ESPN analyst, and back on the bench where it'll still drive him crazy.
That baseball pass, you've got to turn your hand out when you throw it. Instead, Richard Howell threw a curveball that went over toward the NC State bench.
Final 6 minutes and 4 seconds of this game.
Gottfried's seen enough of life without Lorenzo Brown. Did get a nice little couple-minute rest over there and also the TV timeout.
That's got to be part of his strategy, too. He's got to rest these guys if he wants to make that four-game run to the title. ACC fans, now's your chance to vote alongside the experts for your first team All-ACC. Be sure to vote for your top 5 players as the all-time or All-ACC team, and it'll be announced during the men's championship game. Just vote now at the ACC.com/fan vote for the ACC team. Tyler Lewis picked up his 3rd personal. Rankin at the line.
That's what Virginia Tech's got to hope for at this point in time right now, to slow the game down as much as they can, try to get to the line, score there, not let that clock run.
First choice to get it back to a 10-point game. That'll take some doing by itself. Here's Leslie. He's fouled by Marshall Wood. That's 3 on Wood. And NC State now will be in the bonus and go to the line, shoot 1-and-1.
Team foul number 9. Jurel Eddy on the floor for Virginia Tech. CJ Leslie will shoot 1-and-1.
So Brown goes out for the Hokies. Rankin's playing with 3 personal fouls. Leslie makes the first. C.J. Leslie, a 6'9", 200-pounder, a junior out of Holly Springs, North Carolina, just a 61% free throw shooter. He's had a pretty good day today. He's got 13 points.
4 guys in double figures for NC State, and Lorenzo Brown right there with 9.
Leslie now 7 for 10 at the line. Jurel Eddy. Lorenzo Brown says, hold on, fellas. Let me walk this thing up.
One of the quieter double-doubles that you'll see, big-time double-doubles from Howell on 22 points, 10 boards. He's so efficient.
Shot clock has not been a factor here in the second half. Leslie takes it hard to the basket. He's fouled. Don't forget, coming up, Wake Forest and Maryland, and that game will be followed by Clemson and Florida State. Tim Brando, Dan Bonner will bring that to you.
Tim has been chomping at the bit, having to wait till 7 o'clock to say something.
Tyler Lewis returning for NC State. C.J. Barksdale.
You are too much.
For the Hokies.
C.J. Leslie has another one coming. And he now has 14 points.
Yeah, again, I think with C.J. Leslie, the key thing is to get him engaged early. You know, get him some touches, get him in a little bit of rhythm offensively. Virginia Tech, the last 5 minutes without a field goal.
Just wasn't their afternoon, Mike. They played a pretty good first half, but as you look at Warren trying to finish, he steps on the line. He was at the front end of that break and couldn't stop.
Here we go. In the stands.
But ever since Eric Green came out and made those first 2 threes, and we said, uh-oh, here we go. And I mean, the rest of the team has really struggled ever since.
You know, that guy has shown up. He just played a terrific game today, Jarrell Eddy.
He's got 21 points.
Again, I think the philosophy playing against Virginia Tech and the philosophy for NC State today was somebody other than Eric Green is going to beat us.
His foul was on Rankin. That is his 4th personal.
Tyler Lewis will shoot 2.
So Marshall Wood will get ready to check back in for Virginia Tech. And Lewis makes the free throw. Virginia Tech hasn't had enough firepower this year, although the Hokies did play the best game of the year at NC State last month, losing that game we talked about, 90-86 in overtime. And Jarrell Eddy in that game had 17 points. Lewis makes them both, and he's right at his average, 4 points. And Green just looks surprised. The ball was halfway down and came back out.
Mark Gottfried was the defender on that break because C.J. Leslie was going to bring the ball to the floor, and he told him to pull it back out. They're going to get a little more methodical right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're going to shorten this game. And they call the foul on Marshall Wood. And that's his 5th, so he'll be disqualified. 3:50 to play. It's all NC State in game 2 of the ACC tournament. Boston College has advanced. NC State wants to do the same. NC State in complete control, 72-55 over Virginia Tech, trying to advance to play Virginia. Here's the Valero game summary, Mike.
Once again, a huge advantage at the free throw line for NC State, a +11 there, dominant on the glass. All of their scorers came to play, and they have really done an outstanding defensive job on Eric Green, right now at half of his average.
So C.J. Leslie is at the line. He's shooting 2. And right now he's at his average. 15 points a game is what he averages. He's at 15 right now. And he misses the second. Lorenzo Brown tried to pickpocket him, but lost it out of bounds. .340 to play in this ball game. Rankin with a good give and go to Raines. Raines can't get there. Throws it back out. Boy, nothing going for Virginia Tech now.
No, good. No double team help coming. They're going to let Howell play down there. Kept his feet on Barksdale. Forced a tough shot. And even though he couldn't get the rebound, he tapped it out to a teammate.
Tyler Lewis and Lorenzo Brown both in the ball game now. So your 2 point guards are now just taking their time.
And they went to that lineup when Brown came back from his injury, and they liked the 2 of them out there together.
Kick it out to Lewis. Tyler Lewis just 6 of 24 from beyond the arc for the season. This is Barksdale for 2.
That's, again, you talked about rest for players. Tim, and now that they really didn't have to expend a lot of energy in the last part of this game. So a good convincing victory for NC State, setting up an interesting game tomorrow against UVA.
.2:15 to play. Shot clock down to 9. Lorenzo Brown looks up at it. A little give and go. Instead gives it out to Wood. And that's an answer. And Tyler Lewis just injured himself. He went down hard on the baseline.
Well, and I think you got two guys that ran into one another.
Lewis is up.
Yeah,
but at the other end.
Tells it Jarrell Eddy.
It is. Ooh, they hit heads.
Yeah, came over and
hit heads, and Lewis sprained his ankle, and Eddie's now up.
He's that's the other thing I'm never going to understand. It's Lewis is over there, and you know he just got whacked pretty hard, and his teammates are hitting him in the head. You're okay, you know.
Jordan Vandenberg.
Oh, that's funny. Jordan Vandenberg comes in, and Richard Howell goes out to a standing ovation from the Wolfpack faithful.
He was the rock in this game. I mean, he came out 22 points, 12 rebounds, shooting a really high percentage.
We talked early in the game that he averages a double-double, had a great double-double here today, and Green makes a little short jumper, and he now has 15 points.
Well, you hope for the player of the year that he gets a little bit of a curtain call here. I mean, a guy who started out talking about Deb talked about it, averaged 2 points a game his freshman year to lead the nation in scoring. I don't know. I've heard many stories like that.
Well, I tell you what, he struggled today, but he continued to work. He was really working hard. Here's another nice pass inside. Warren scores and finishes that off.
Remember too that first game, NC State to Virginia, they had a 7-point lead, but C.J. Leslie was not in the starting lineup due to illness in that game, and that was also the game that Lorenzo Brown hurt his ankle in early on.
That was a nice pass inside right there by Eric Green. NC State, when you talk about balance, look at this, Mike.
Well, I've always been a guy that I like to have a go-to guy. But, you know, they've got several guys who can step up and are capable of having 20-point nights. And there's never been any question about this team's ability to score the basketball. It's been on the defensive end of the floor, and it's going to be a test tomorrow because Virginia has a knack for playing with tempo. And there's Eric Green getting a lot of respect from his teammates. It's quite a thing to lead the nation in scoring by a wide margin, too.
All season long, he was the nation's scoring leader.
He will always have that Player of the Year award to go along with his name as well.
Absolutely. What a job he did this year, carrying the Hokies right there on his back. NC State, you're right, Mike. They had those 4 guys in double figures. And you look at Lorenzo Brown, he was 1 point short of a double-double. He had 9 points, 10 assists. Tremendous team effort today by the Wolfpack.
Exactly the type of game they needed to set up tomorrow.
Final 25 seconds. Virginia Tech hasn't won a game away from Castle Coliseum since January 12th. That was at Georgia Tech. They're going to fall here and be eliminated from the ACC tournament. Disappointing year, but not for that guy. Tremendous player and one of the greatest competitors you'll ever see. James Johnson emptying his bench, getting everybody into the tournament. While the Wolfpack now will try to just save the legs. It's going to be a tough run for them.
Yeah, no, and you talk about the regular season and what it means, and you know that bye is so critical. We talked about nobody's ever there have been a few teams. This NC State team, as a matter of fact, it was Sidney Lowe's first year, made a run to the championship game, but eventually just ran out of gas and lost to North Carolina. Nobody's ever come out of this day to win the whole thing.
And NC State controlled its seeding fate. but lost to Florida State last Saturday. Ended up tied with Virginia, both at 11 and 7 in conference play, but UVA won on the tiebreaker based on their 58-55 win over the Pac January 29th. So the first two games are just about in the books now. Final couple of seconds. Oh, baby, what a way to end it by Rodney Purvis. Wow. Exclamation point. And the band plays on, but how about Rodney Purvis saying, this will end it.
Yeah, cleared out the side. Of course, no bigs left in the game, but that is a very athletic move to the rim.
Eric Green says so long, and Mark Gottfried appreciates his effort. Final score, NC State 80, Virginia Tech 63.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Food Lion, by Geico, by BB&T, by your local Toyota dealers, and by AT&T.
Eric Green with a struggle of a day, but what a season he had. NC State wins it. The final was 80-63. And Eric Green says so long in the Greensboro Coliseum. Let's go over to Debbie Antonelli.
Lorenzo, you held Eric Green, the nation's leading scorer, to 5 for 19 from the floor. What was your defensive effort like, and what worked?
I got a call last night where somebody told me they thought I couldn't play defense. So it was a good chance for me to try to stop Eric tonight.
Does that mean that you might be on Joe Harris tomorrow because you're the lockdown guy now?
Oh, most definitely. I hope so. I hope Coach put me on that assignment. I mean, Joe Harris is one of the best players in the ACC. And it's our job to contain him.
What is it about Virginia? I know you got hurt in the last game when you played them. You only played about 7 minutes. What's important in beating Virginia now as you move forward? And what's important about keeping your body in shape?
Containing Joe Harris. I mean, I think he's a good part of their offense, and he does most of their scoring, so it's important that we stop him.
There was a point in the first half where Coach said your defensive energy changed the tempo. How can you plan on your defensive energy being the same effort tomorrow?
It'll be a lot different because their point guard is not much of a scorer as Eric is. But, I mean, just containing him, getting him the ball from Joe Harris, it'll help us out.
All right, thanks a lot, Lorenzo.
Thank you.
All right, up to you, Hog.
All right, Deb, thanks a lot. And Corey Alexander with me now. And I'm not going to say you told us so, but we talked about Richard Howell before the game, and boy, did he come up big, huh?
He really did, and of course, he got them started from an offensive standpoint, and he established himself in the paint, but it was the defensive effort by NC State that really allowed us to see glimpses of that team we thought they would be back in October.
Well, Corey, we're only halfway through. Got a couple of big ones here tonight. Starts at 7, 6 seed Maryland taking on Wake Forest. Alex Lynn, Des Wells from Maryland, and Travis McKay, C.J. Harris for Wake, and then Florida State and Clemson. And should be an interesting night tonight, to say the least, huh?
It really will, and of course, you get to see Wake Forest play against Maryland. Wake Forest have talented freshmen. We talk about Devin Thomas, and after seeing Olivier Hanlon's performance today, we'll have to see what the freshmen from Wake Forest is they are able to come up with to try to even compete with that type of performance we saw from Hanlon.
Right, Corey, we've got 2 quarterfinals set tomorrow, and I want to get your comments on them. First, Miami and BC, which will be the noon game tomorrow.
Well, you have to think about the fact that when a guy scores 41 points, he's going to get the attention of the opponent. And unfortunately for Miami, they have the defensive player of the year in Durant Scott. But the way Miami's played all year defensively, they're not going to allow any one person to go in and score 41 on them.
You see Scott and Hanlon as a pretty good matchup tomorrow, huh?
I can see that as a great matchup. And you've got a senior in Scott versus the freshman, the ACC Rookie of the Year in Hanlon. We can see a showdown tomorrow afternoon.
All right, Virginia, NC State. And I think this is the matchup a lot of people have been waiting to see. It was NC State and Virginia down to the final weekend of the season to see who got that last bye to Friday's quarterfinal round.
Absolutely, and in only one matchup this year, Lorenzo Brown only played 11 minutes, got injured early. C.J. Leslie didn't start the game. He was sick, so I'm sure NC State has a little bit of revenge in their mind playing against the Wahoos.
You know, we talk a lot about Richard Howell, but C.J. Leslie got involved in it today. So did Scott Wood, and it was a big win for NC State. We're back back with you tonight at 7 o'clock as we get ready for Maryland Wake Forest. Now for our entire ACC network crew, Mike Hogwood here saying good afternoon from the Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, North Carolina. See you tonight at 7 o'clock.